Well, welcome back to the Connect Church Discipleship Podcast. We're in Season 2, Episode 15, and this season we're looking at disciplines and ordinances that are part of the life of disciples of Christ. And we've specifically been looking at the area of stewardship. We've looked at our time and our talents. Today we'll look at our treasure. I want to welcome back Carlton and Ken. Thank you guys coming back for another episode. You've been with us for a few now, so the audience is familiar with you. Just to remind us, and we'll probably say this in every single episode, that why do we do the disciplines? It's not to check a box, but rather it's to abide in Christ, to spend time being formed by Christ. And that's where we kind of see that growth moving from unbelief to belief that we often talk about. And so we've talked about time, we've talked about talents. We want to move today to treasure, which will often take the shape of our financial resources. And that could be a challenging topic sometimes within the local church. And so why do you think we might get squeamish or a little nervous to talk about money within a church context?
Well, there has been a great deal of poor examples of financial stewardship within the church globally.
Yeah.
And so I think that makes the conversation a little bit, just that much more difficult to hold on a local level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, those examples get all the media attention. So I think people see that and they see these exceptions and think, okay, well, that must be applied to all churches, and without really understanding the reality of, what are church operations and ministries are involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, even sometimes the way it's framed in a local church, there might not be anything bad happening, so to speak, or misuse, but it could be framed sometimes in a manipulative way, and so that can impact as well. But we know the scriptures teach us that it's the love of money that's the root of all evil, right? It's not money in of itself. We need to make financial plans. That's important. Setting aside funds for enjoyment is a good thing. These are biblical things, right? And we should have a plan to take care of our loved ones, our families. All that's good. But at the same time, we know it's easy to get disordered desires. It's easy for that to become the driving force of every decision we make in those ways. And so we had talked back in Season 1 about this idea of the 4 heart idols. And I like bringing that up here because I think there's a way that we could see something good, such as giving to a local church or being generous with our funds, can have motives underneath it that are actually rooted in these idols. And so I'm just going to kind of give some examples, right? Someone could give in a church so that their power idol could be satisfied, right? Like they're gonna be recognized as the big giver, or the church will be recognized as, like, one of the top giving churches in their area, or whatever the case may be, the sense of power. Others can give for control. Like, I give, so I get to decide, like, what's the church going to do with that money now, and how are they gonna play that out? Or they may give for comfort. Like, I don't have to give my time and my talent. I give my treasure, or whatever. Or nothing bad's going to happen to me because I gave, or something of that nature. And then the last item we often talk about is approval. Like, I'll get the pat on the back. I'm a good Christian because I give, or whatever the case may be. And so we have to look at those motivations, right? Even when we're doing the right thing, we got to say what's underlying that. And so by verse number, Jesus actually talked about money more than he did heaven and hell combined. So it was an important topic, and it really reveals what controls our heart. And so, Ken, would you read for us just Matthew 6:21 and Matthew 6:24?
Sure. Matthew 6:21 reads, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And Matthew 6:24, "No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money."
And so we could certainly feel that tension in our world sometimes. And so how could someone know if they're trying to serve 2 masters? I mean, both God and money, or maybe even God and something else, but specifically in this context, God and money.
I mean, I think one way is, if a person is stressed about tithing or supporting ministries through their offerings, yet has no problem with spending money on enjoyment or the latest toy, and I think they may be trying to serve 2 masters.
Sure. It's a good test. What are they doing with it? Right.
Right. I actually, piggybacking off of what Brother Ken said, I've seen attempting to serve 2 masters play out in frustration, exhaustion, and ultimately burnout.
Yeah.
Because as the scripture Brother Ken just read said, you can't serve 2 masters, and so you're trying to do what God said you cannot do.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it will not work.
Yeah. Carl, that's a great point, right? It's not, hey, this is not a good idea, right? You can't do it. It's not gonna work out.
Right.
And so part of this is the need for us to wrestle with contentment. I'm just going to read some scriptures that speak to that, and then we'll talk. Hebrews 13:5 says, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you and never will I forsake you. And then 1 Timothy 6:6-7, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world and we could take nothing out of it. Why do you think that ourselves and others and people in general often struggle with contentment in the area of finances, but it could also be other areas as well?
Well, we're a desiring people. It's just in our nature. If you look at the couple in the garden, they had everything and they still wanted more.
Yeah.
Right? We are just a desiring people, and it's in our nature.
Yeah. Never satisfied.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of thought it was like, culture.
Yeah.
I mean, from a young age, we're bombarded with, we deserve the best, the newest, the biggest. So when we start actually earning money and can afford some of these things, we find it difficult to deny ourselves and,
Yeah.
and be content.
Yeah. The pressure, I have to have this, right? It certainly exists there. And I can't always say about culture, because I think sometimes our identity could get wrapped up in these things. If I have that, I've made it, whatever, that could be a possession, whatever, it could be any types of things. And so contentment is definitely a challenge for us as well. And so this episode today is to kind of set a foundation for us. We're going to look at one more scripture of the first instance of giving that we kind of see within scripture. And then our next two videos will kind of break down what does it look like for giving throughout the rest of the Old Testament and then the New Testament. So Carlton, would you read Genesis 4:2-7 for us?
Sure. Genesis 4:2-7. Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it.
So this is an interesting portion of scripture, right? We don't get a specific, clear answer on why Cain's offering was not necessarily acceptable. And there's been different theories, maybe he gave it grudgingly, or it wasn't the best quality, and different things of that nature. But either way, for our purposes, we can note that they brought an offering to the Lord, which took the form of their fruit and animals at that time. So their common practice was, I'm going to honor God with what I have. And we want to kind of set that as our idea of stewardship in terms of treasure. With what I have, I want to honor the Lord. And that's going to take many shapes and forms. We'll talk about that more in some future episodes. But before we go today, I'm going to ask you guys to name a healthy food that you enjoy and an unhealthy food that you find very difficult to resist. We stumped them on this one.
I told Pastor Dave there's not many healthy foods I enjoy, but I don't know whether a Caesar salad
That's good.
qualifies as a healthy food, but I do enjoy a Caesar salad once in a while. Unhealthy food that I really enjoy, pretty much anything fried.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to summarize it.
Okay, healthy food. I don't know. Is edamame healthy?
I don't know if I know what edamame is.
They're like snow peas.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Snow peas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a vegetable.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe the way it's prepared, I enjoy it.
Okay.
And then on an unhealthy food that I can't resist, I probably said this in a previous segment, Sausalito turkey.
There you go.
My favorite.
I'm gonna question whether that's unhealthy though.
Well, I think the way that it's prepared might not be, but that's what I'm going.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, audience, for joining us. Another great spot. You're gonna hear me say it every time. Text your discipler. Let them know something you learned, maybe a way that you could begin to start thinking about stewarding your treasure within this upcoming week. And then coming back as we continue this idea of our treasure stewardship a little further in our next episode. Have a great day.